What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the charts are showing and based off what the data is suggesting. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the SPY and how this may affect Tesla, what the data is showing us, when Jerome Powell is going to be speaking this week, when on earth we are going to see him make some more big announcements, what's going on with the news in Tesla, and also what Elon Musk, the man, the myth, the legend, Elon Musk put on his Twitter page, which is big news for Tesla. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details and dissect the price action of Tesla, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any of these 12 free stocks could be a free Tesla share, a free AMC share, a free Apple share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 4 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So Tesla managed to close up 0.25% for the day. I did make a prediction that Tesla would actually come very close to like maybe a little above 280, but I predicted we would actually hold a lot stronger, and I actually thought that we would actually get a close maybe around like 278, like kind of like around there, kind of pushing to the upside a little bit better than the overall market, and that is almost exactly what happened. Now, it did end up dropping a little bit harder than I would have expected into close, but besides that, it was pretty clear that Tesla was going to make a move kind of like this. So now the real question is, what's going to happen after this, given everything that's going on? So the good news for Tesla is we're holding up a lot better than the overall market. At least if you look at SPY, NASDAQ, the QQQ, and so on and so forth, we had a pretty decent move right here, and we have potential to actually hold up a lot better. But there is one thing that could cause us to drop first before we continue to push to the key zone. And that is because of the fact that the SPY is still not looking that good. If you look at the RSI on the SPY, we're not seeing divergence just yet. First off, the share price is continuing to just drop and drop and drop. RSI is also getting lower and lower, so we're not seeing that divergence. And right now, it does look like the SPY could come a little bit lower before we get another potential bounce. So why might the SPY bounce a little bit later? And I'm going to show you exactly why. When you look at the trend, please note that the SPY has a tendency of not just dumping like very quickly when those big moments come from the Fed, but we tend to get those big reactions and like slight green days in between. I'll give you a previous example. Back in June, the SPY was crashing, got a small bounce, came down, then finally got a bounce here before we kind of like reversed. Right here, we're seeing SPY was continuing to drop for a little bit of time. We pushed up temporarily, and then look at the last like 2 weeks. It was less than 2 weeks, actually. It was like within 9, 10 days, this thing just crashed. We crashed really hard. And look at the last couple of days. We're just crashing, crashing, crashing. It doesn't make sense because eventually there has to be somewhat of a bounce where some more of the bulls kind of like step in, give us some relief temporarily before we continue to drop. That's what the historical trend suggests on SPY. So what is SPY doing now? If you look at the 5 minute, it tried to really get a reversal. We didn't quite get it. We actually pushed up to 370, got a rejection from there, and the bears just came in really hard, and they're still very strong. If you look at the overall market, if you want to look at something else, like if you look at the IWM, for instance, very similar setup. It's just happening all over the place. If you look at NASDAQ, QQQ, same thing all over the place. Now, Tesla is the thing that's a little bit different. All right. Tesla had that nice run up to 284. We got a rejection, but we actually held our support and managed to close kind of green. So Tesla is showing more relative strength than the SPY. If you look at the price pairs ratio right here, it's continuing to respect an uptrend, which shows that Tesla is actually not just stronger, but is more like price sensitive to the upside than SPY is, at least for the short term. Now, if you look at the overall trend, though, they do tend to be similar, which is why the SPY, the NASDAQ, QQQ, the overall market, they do affect Tesla to a degree. Now, right now, we are still seeing Deutsche Bank and other big investors giving Tesla buy ratings, but please note that Monday tends to be historically more green than red for Tesla, at least typically. Now, Tuesday has a tendency of kind of like being similar, but by the time we get to like the later days of the week, like Thursdays and Fridays, those tend to be red days, at least over the last couple of weeks, last couple of months for the year. So, with that said, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla actually pushes up a bit tomorrow. But before we push to the upside and maybe like hold these ranges, I think that Tesla might come down first before doing that, similar to like what happened today, how Tesla dropped to like 270 before getting a big bounce and push to the upside. So why do I feel that way? Well, let's look at the overall trend in the market first. If you look at SPY, you will notice this thing is still downtrending. We do have a big gap right here, but SPY does have a tendency of liking these W-like formations where it pushes up first, but it's looking like we are still continuing to make those lower lows, which is not the best of signs. So because the SPY actually came lower today than it did before, there's a possibility that we are going to actually see a new low again tomorrow before we get a nice bounce. And I would anticipate the bounce to come around that 362 level because that is very, very key for the SPY. You guys can see like right back here, we have a tendency of bouncing around that zone. So I am still watching for a potential bounce because many historical investors know this. Also remember on the options chain for the SPY, all right, for September 30th, we have a 1.74 puts to call ratio. So when one side is just too heavy on the put side, it's very possible for us to get a small bounce first before we continue to go down a little bit later. So with that said, for SPY, I'm going to be watching it come down to maybe like 362 first, then get a nice bounce and maybe push back all the way up here and maybe retest 370 or go a little higher than that. If SPY breaks above 370, it has the potential to fill the gap here. Why is that important? Because this will have an effect on Tesla to some degree. When SPY fills that gap, it's very possible that might be the time when Tesla starts to push up as well and Tesla fills the gap up here. This could actually bring Tesla to about almost 290 first before we continue from there. So what does this mean for Tesla? Well, the first thing to note are support and resistance levels. If we push up, I'm going to be watching 280, 284 to 285. Excuse me. Then also, let me see, 288 is where the gap fill area is. Then we have this very key zone right here between 288 to 290. This is where Tesla can actually go to and see lots and lots of fluctuations. And I think that's where we have very strong resistance, at least for the short term. Now, if Tesla comes down, firstly, we're going to be treating 275 as support. Break below that, I'm going to be watching 272 because this is where we bounced from previously. And if we break below 272, then 270 is going to be stronger support. So support at 272 is not as strong as 270. Watch those zones if we do end up coming down. And if we drop below 270, 265 to 268 is also very important. So what's going to happen tomorrow? Well, what I'm seeing is another potential drop in the beginning, just like what we saw today. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla comes down actually like this and gets a retest of this zone. But it is possible for us to bounce at a higher point than this point right here. So that would be an indication that Tesla is making those like higher lows. And we are going to be kind of like pushing up just a little bit for the short term before we continue from there. Now, please note, I am still net bearish overall, but just because I am a little bit more bearish than bullish over the next like maybe like 2 weeks or so, maybe like a few months, I still don't think that doesn't mean that Tesla can't have those temporary moments where it pushes to the upside. So with that said, I'm anticipating Tesla to actually push up after that and come back into this very key zone between 280 and 276. Now, this is where Tesla kind of chopped for almost all day. So we might shop here for a little bit of time. And if SPY is truly ready to actually push up, if the whole market is ready to start doing that, this could actually help Tesla boost above 280, maybe hold this range up here. Now, it is possible for us to fill this gap in just like one day because Tesla is a monster, but I'm not seeing it being like super strong just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of like come short of that. And once again, I don't like to be a shill or anything like that, but I do anticipate we could actually have a slight green day tomorrow and another close around maybe the high 270s. So I'm hoping for that. Now, if the market is ready to kind of like reverse and kind of trap some bears, at least just for the super short term, just for like a couple of hours, just for like a day, then Tesla has the potential to come all the way up to this gap fill area and also maybe get rejected between 288 and maybe like 290, somewhere around there. Now, how would we know if we're going to do this? You have to watch the volume, your technical indicators, whether we're above or below the VWAP. You have to watch what the overall market is doing. What is Tesla's momentum showing us? Use your different indicators out there, like your momentum indicators, your EMAs, and so on and so forth. And you want to watch and see if Tesla could hold above like 285. If we start to hold this range and we're showing very nice volume, we look very bullish, we'll most likely fill the gap above 288 and maybe push as high as 290. So please be on the watch for that. I'm just trying to be a little bit more conservative with these estimates because right now the market is just not in the best of states. But please note that this is what I'm essentially anticipating for tomorrow. With that said, some very key things to really watch for is the volume that we are starting to see on Tesla. The volume right now is pretty close to average over the last couple of weeks, which is pretty decent. And if we look down here at the short volume percentage, it's actually below what it was from before. Now, that could be a pretty good sign that those with long positions are kind of gaining the edge. But we are seeing a lot of institutions loading up on those covered calls. So they are prepared. They're selling covered calls because they are prepared for potential downside as a hedge. So that goes to show, guys, be very cautious. Okay, watch your indicators very carefully. The market is very choppy. It likes to fake people out. So be ready for that. The last thing for this week is on Wednesday, we have the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell speaking. Who knows what he's going to say this time? He might say some very big announcements about the rates, the real estate market. So, whatever he says could really affect the market as well. So, please be prepared for that as well. Now, when it comes to the news for Tesla, we have some big news that came out. A massive fire broke out at the Tesla Gigafactory in Berlin. And a lot of people are talking about a production stop, at least for the short term. The good thing I read in this article is that nobody actually got injured, according to reports, which is an amazing thing. I'm very happy that no one got hurt. But during times like this, it's very important for them to really fix the problem, get rid of the fire, really improve any of the damage that was done. And they may have to halt production at least temporarily because of this. Now, the main concern for me was the workers, the employees. No one was injured, luckily. So hopefully we see this not being too big of an issue and they really recover from this quickly, and hopefully they find out the real cause of this. I mean, I read different sources are saying different things, but this is completely normal. Things like this could happen at big factories, so it's not necessarily the end of the world. We did see a lot of cardboard and paper and wood actually catching on fire as a result of the flames, and they are still working on this to this day, to this time. So hopefully I want the best for everyone. I want safety for everyone. And I hope that they really bounce back from this. Now, Elon Musk also tweeted this on his Twitter page, which is something very important I wanted to mention. He mentioned that Tesla and Elon Musk are under attack by a filmmaker who pays influencers to speak negatively about them. So, the main thing to really look into this is the fact that not everything you see on the internet is the truth. And the truth could be manipulated based off intentions of individuals. This means that people can make money by making these crazy headlines. They like to criticize Tesla for the littlest of things. They have a tendency of just going crazy over these like quote unquote recalls and things like that, even though recall has a completely different definition for Tesla, as a lot of these issues are just fixed by simple software updates. So please be very careful with what you read on the media. Be very, very open-minded and look in many different sources, listen to people on different sides of perspectives. So please be very careful with the things that you see and what you actually believe, because it's very important to know that the truth does not always appear very visibly, quickly, and easily. With that said, guys, for tomorrow, I am anticipating a lot of chop. The very key zone specifically would be this 276 to 280 zone. I do anticipate Tesla to trade in this range for quite a bit of time. I want to see us break above 280. I think we could do that if the market does allow it, if the market does push up and we get some pretty decent volume. Right now, Tesla could be respecting an uptrend if we do end up making a higher low. So I'm hoping for that, and this is what I'm essentially predicting. But once again, sometimes things you don't expect could happen out of nowhere in the markets. So that's why you have to watch support and resistance levels and pay attention to previous trends to get a good understanding of what could end up going down. With that said, thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely incredible rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.